Hey, this is the World Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is the topic of has the internet made life worse? Okay, so when it comes to this topic, people who believe the internet has made life worse always tend to bring up the same basic points. Okay, it has made people politically more divided. It has made people more miserable due to all the constant negative information that's being fed by the algorithm. Two, of course, it has reduced the quality of entertainment do such as for example music, and so on and so forth. That's the biggest argument people always tend to make about the internet. And they even argue, we'd be better off without the internet. So when it comes to answering the question of has the internet made life worse, which I'll of course be answering for this video, the simple answer I can simply say objectively is no. The internet has not made life worse. Okay, I don't think there's anything wrong with the internet because the internet, like anything, is just a tool. It's just a fundamental tool, like anything in the world. It just depends on who's doing it, of course. Okay, like for example, if someone has a gun, you have people who use it for good, like for example, taking out negative animals that are killing livestock or even killing people, and you have people who, of course, use it for bad, like being a criminal and so on and so forth. Yada yada. You get the point. It's just a fundamental tool that is meant, like for example, um, to make it easier for people to not only, of course, um, you know, just in general for whatever, like it's made it easier for people to consume media. It's also made it easier for people to, of course, consume, um, content from actual other people. That's the truth about the internet. So, in short, the internet has not made life worse, okay? To put it bluntly, it has not made life worse. It just comes down to this fundamental point that I want to make it clear to people, okay? It comes down to, of course, you. And yes, I'm referring to the people, who of course are receiving this message. It comes down to you. Yes, you. Um, when it comes to how good the quality of the internet is. Because the thing about the internet that is very true about the internet, is that even though a lot of people complain that, oh, people can put every and anything on the internet and blah 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 and all that type of stuff, the truth of the matter is when it comes to the internet, for that matter, you know, even though of course people can put a lot of negativity, you can also put a lot of stuff that is positive, and not just positive but interesting or whatever you like to say, okay, for that matter, okay, when it comes to the stuff you want to put on the internet, okay? Just like people can put all this negative stuff about political, you know, drama and all this type of stuff, and just in general drama, and just give you a lot of crap to look at. You can also, of course, put a lot of things on there that's positive, and not just positive, but more interesting, or you can just say more upbeat, whatever you like to say, okay? Let's just say interesting for that matter, okay? Like for that matter, you can put all that stuff on there, and of course, to go alongside the point I just made, if you are not able to put um content on the internet, because maybe you have different interests, whatever, for that matter, okay, you can also, of course, support people who produce things that you like, okay? Whether it comes down to maybe the type of topics like the that people might be interested in, whether it could be history, whether it could be maybe, for example, nature, whatever you can think of. Or if it's not just down to topics, it can be the quality of entertainment, like the type of way you like your music to be produced, and all that type of stuff. You see what I'm saying? So, in short, to put it bluntly, though, you, the the person who is the viewer, have the power in one of those two main ways. Okay, you can either produce the content yourself, whether you want to hear about a certain particular topic more, um, for that matter, or even maybe a certain type of entertainment, whatever. You can help produce things a certain particular way. Okay, that's the first point. Okay, the second point to add to that, for that matter, is that if you're not able to produce the stuff, you can obviously support people who produce things in a way you like. So instead of just, of course, complaining all the time, oh, the internet has just ruined everything, I'm just fed all this negative stuff, and it just divides people, yada 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 yada. You know, it has made the quality of everything gone down. This whole 9 yards you hear all the time. That just makes things in a way you like. That's all you really have to do. Okay, and that's what people have to do for that matter. Instead of just simply being there complaining all the time that things are not as good as it used to be for that matter. Okay, you have the power to find your own audience. Okay, and that's what people need to understand. The best way to look at the world in general, and especially with the way the world is set up nowadays, the world is just is an endless, non-stop competition. Okay, it is just unnecessarily competitive. Okay, everyone is trying to make a name for themselves, and not just make a name for themselves and get money and blah 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 blah. Everyone wants to be top dog and get the most attention and so on and so forth. But sometimes you have to realize in life, it's just okay to just get a decent amount of attention. You might post videos on YouTube that get maybe a few 100,000 views or a few million views for whatever content you're producing, and that's okay. Besides, in the end of the day, you have to realize whether you're okay with just with it being small or even you want to go big. At some point, you have to start off with a niche audience. That's what everyone's doing nowadays. Okay, so that's the truth of the matter. What you need to understand, you need to obviously realize a niche audience is most important of all. Besides, as long as you put something out there, someone's gonna watch it anyway, especially if you're trying. So, in short, that's what people need to understand instead of just, of course, blaming everything on, the world and this and that. Like, for example, music, like I was getting at before, everyone says music's not as good as it used to be, music's not as good as it used to be. Then just make your own music. Or if not, make your own music, support people who make music in a way you like. So, in short, the internet has not made things worse. It's not any worse than it used to be when it comes to how good things can ever possibly be again. You just need to produce your own stuff. And that is what I have to say for this video, okay? To sum up what I believe for this video, just produce your own stuff, if anything. And that's really about it, okay? So that is what I have to say. Besides, now that I've mentioned that point, let's make this, of course, more serious. In other words, political, okay? The truth of the matter is, the internet has made it possible for people for the first time in human history to truly have freedom. Everyone can voice their opinion, unlike previous decades, going back, you know, 2000s and of course before and so on and so forth. People didn't have that power, okay? And I'm going to tell you a little something, okay? Especially someone who grew up, in the 2000s, at least for a significant amount of time before YouTube existed, or even before, of course, the internet became as big as it became. There's a lot of things that used to happen to people when it comes to injustices that are not even worth mentioning because it was so messed up. Okay, that is the truth of the matter. There's a lot of fucked up things that happen that I don't even think is worth mentioning. Okay, let alone the fact that it was a lot harder to become famous, and of course, you know, as a result of becoming famous, becoming successful, whatever, you get a point. It was a lot harder for people who are everyday people to actually have a voice, whether they wanted for political purposes, like to speak out against injustices, or just in general, of course, speak out against, you know, just in general, mess up things that were going on from people who are in positions of power, to, of course, the idea of even just being someone who actually is relevant in the world, by actually making it possible for you to actually become famous, yada, yada, yada. People didn't have that power before. So do not believe in something that's going to take away our power, okay, for that matter, okay? Because the people in power, of course, politically, have a lot of fucked up things that they used to do to people, especially people of color, that they used to get away with, and that's why they hate the internet so much, because there's a lot of things that they used to get away with that they can't get away with anymore. And that's the truth of the matter. So, of course, as a result of that, for that very reason, that is the reason why we need to make sure we still have the internet. It's a good tool. All it needs to be done is make things in a way you like, okay? For whatever purposes, whether it's something as minuscule as entertainment, it's important but not extremely important, or something even more important, like people's views and opinions on things that are actually positive and not just straight up hateful. That is the truth of the matter. So, in short, the internet has not made the world worse. if anything, it has definitely made it better. Just you need to make things in a way you like. And if you're not able to make it in a way you like, support people who make things in a way you like. And that is what I have to say for this video. So in short, that is a message I want to get across for this video. And this is all I have to say. And simply put it, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to thumb this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is all I have to say. And simply put it, I'm out. So bye.